Burt Lancaster. Name the most evil actors of Hollywood's golden age. Burt Lancaster was an iconic American actor known for his rugged charm, athletic presence, and remarkable versatility. Born on November 2, 1913, in New York City, he grew up in a tough neighborhood and first found success as a circus acrobat. After serving in World War II, Lancaster made a sensational film debut in The Killers, 1946, launching a career that would span over 4 decades. He earned acclaim for a wide range of roles, from swashbuckling heroes to morally complex characters, starring in classics like From Here to Eternity, 1953, Elmer Gantry, 1960, for which he won an Academy Award, and Atlantic City, 1980. Lancaster was also a producer and political activist, known for supporting civil rights and opposing the Vietnam War. He passed away on October 20th, 1994, leaving behind a legacy as one of Hollywood's most respected and dynamic leading men. Burt Lancaster's unlikely Hollywood rise, following his explosive debut in The Killers, 1946. Burt Lancaster quickly became one of the most sought-after actors of his generation, but the path to stardom was anything but conventional. Long before Hollywood discovered him, Lancaster was a streetwise kid from East Harlem, raised in a working-class Irish-American family. His natural athleticism and fierce determination led him to join the circus as an acrobat, traveling across the country and mastering the physicality that would later define many of his on-screen roles. After serving in the U.S. Army during World War II, where he performed in Army shows to entertain troops, Lancaster returned to civilian life with little idea of becoming an actor. It was a chance meeting in an elevator with a theatrical producer that changed his life forever. The producer was captivated by Lancaster's imposing physique and charisma and invited him to audition for a Broadway play. To everyone's surprise, Lancaster had a raw, magnetic presence on stage, despite lacking formal training. His performance caught the attention of Hollywood agents, and it wasn't long before he was cast in The Killers, a noir thriller based on a short story by Ernest Hemingway. The film was a box office hit and showcased Lancaster's brooding intensity, earning him immediate fame. Unlike many leading men of the time, Lancaster brought a sense of unpredictability and danger to his roles, standing out from the polished glamour of traditional Hollywood stars. Determined not to be typecast, he chose roles that challenged him, proving early on that he was more than just a tough guy. Films like Brute Force, 1947, and Sorry. Wrong Number, 1948, solidified his reputation as a serious actor with range. He also co-founded Hecht Hill Lancaster, one of the first independent production companies in Hollywood, which gave him greater creative control and allowed him to champion bold, unconventional projects. Burt Lancaster's rise was not merely a matter of good looks or luck. It was a result of fearless choices, hard-earned skills, and a relentless drive to define himself on his own terms. His early career wasn't just the beginning of a movie star. It was the birth of a screen legend. Lancaster's legacy-sealing kiss. Building on the momentum of his early roles, Burt Lancaster was determined to prove that he was more than just a rugged face with screen presence. That breakthrough came in 1953 with From Here to Eternity, a romantic war drama that would forever define his legacy. In the film, Lancaster played Sergeant Milton Warden, a tough but morally grounded non-commissioned officer stationed at Pearl Harbor just before the Japanese attack. The role showcased every facet of Lancaster's talent, his physicality, intensity, and emotional depth. But what truly made the performance iconic was a single moment, the beach scene. As waves crashed behind them, Lancaster and co-star Deborah Kerr shared one of the most passionate kisses in cinematic history. That kiss, equal parts sensual and defiant, became a symbol of forbidden love and remains one of the most enduring images in Hollywood. Following the breakthrough impact of From Here to Eternity, Burt Lancaster entered the most powerful phase of his career, an era defined by bold choices, critical acclaim, and artistic control. Unlike many of his contemporaries who played it safe, Lancaster sought roles that pushed boundaries and tackled controversial themes. In the late 1950s and early 1960s, he established himself not only as a leading man, but also as a true actor's actor. One of the major highlights came with Elmer Gantry, 1960, in which Lancaster played a charismatic, morally ambiguous preacher. The performance was electric, equal parts charm, manipulation, and intensity. It earned him the Academy Award for Best Actor, a moment of validation for years of risk-taking and artistic evolution. He brought to the role a rare combination of theatrical flair and emotional authenticity, commanding every scene with magnetic power. But Lancaster didn't stop there. He continued to reinvent himself with roles that defied expectations. In Birdman of Alcatraz, 1962, he portrayed the real-life prisoner Robert Stroud, a man who finds redemption through his study of birds while incarcerated. The performance was subtle, restrained, and deeply human, earning him another Oscar nomination and cementing his status as one of Hollywood's most respected dramatic actors. Throughout this peak period, Lancaster also starred in Judgment at Nuremberg, 1961, The Leopard, 1963, and The Train, 1964, demonstrating his global appeal and willingness to work with European auteurs. He even learned Italian for The Leopard, collaborating with legendary director Luchino Visconti in a role that showcased his elegance and dramatic gravitas. Behind the scenes, Lancaster continued producing films through his company, Hecht Hill Lancaster, helping to bring complex, socially relevant stories to life, far beyond the glossy studio system. He was more than a performer. He was a tastemaker and a force for artistic integrity. By the mid-1960s, Burt Lancaster was not just a Hollywood star, he was an international icon of serious cinema. His refusal to be boxed into one image allowed him to shape a career that was bold, diverse, and fiercely independent. Burt Lancaster's greatest career moments. By the time the 1970s arrived, Burt Lancaster had already etched his name into the pantheon of Hollywood legends, building on the towering performances of the 1950s and 1960s. His career was now defined not only by longevity, but by the sheer weight of his achievements, both critical and cultural. He was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Actor 4 times, winning once for Elmer Gantry, 1960, and receiving nominations for From Here to Eternity, 1953, Birdman of Alcatraz, 1962, and Atlantic City, 1980. His performance in Atlantic City, delivered at the age of 67, was particularly poignant, an aging gangster clinging to fading glory. It was a role filled with nostalgia, vulnerability, and grace, earning him praise from a new generation of critics and audiences. Lancaster won multiple prestigious awards and evolved from noir anti-heroes to socially conscious character roles. He was also a trailblazer in independent film production. Through Hecht Hill Lancaster, he helped bring challenging stories to the screen, such as Marty, 1955, which won the Academy Award for Best Picture. This impact extended far beyond his own performances. He helped shape the very structure of modern film production. By the time he passed away in 1994, Lancaster had appeared in over 70 films and was widely regarded as one of the most influential figures in the golden age of Hollywood. His screen presence, athletic yet introspective, fiery yet graceful, set a standard for generations of actors to follow. Burt Lancaster's acting career was not simply one of fame, but one of fearless transformation, meaningful choices, and enduring artistry. His legacy is not only measured in trophies, but in the way he elevated the art of film itself. Burt Lancaster's family life unveiled. While Burt Lancaster's career was filled with accolades and cinematic triumphs, his personal life, particularly his family and marriage, was far more complex and often kept away from the public eye. Following his rise to stardom and numerous professional milestones, Lancaster's family life reflected the quiet contradictions of a man torn between artistic passion and emotional distance. Lancaster married June Ernst in 1935, a fellow acrobat he met during his circus days. However, the marriage was short-lived and ended in divorce. In 1946, he married Norma Anderson, a relationship that would last nearly 3 decades and result in 5 children. From the outside, their marriage seemed stable, grounded in the values of post-war domestic life. But the pressures of fame and Lancaster's relentless work ethic began to take a toll. Throughout the 1950s and 60s, as his career soared, Lancaster was often away on film sets for months at a time. Though devoted to his children and maintaining contact, he struggled with emotional intimacy. Friends and biographers have noted that Lancaster was a deeply private man, intense, intelligent, but emotionally guarded. His demanding schedule and the temptations of fame reportedly led to several extramarital affairs, further straining his relationship with Norma. Their marriage ended in divorce in 1969. Although painful, the separation was handled discreetly and without media spectacle, reflecting Lancaster's lifelong desire to keep his private affairs out of the spotlight. Despite the divorce, he remained a present father and reportedly had a close relationship with his children, particularly in his later years. After his divorce, Lancaster never remarried. He had a long-term relationship with Susan Martin, a woman significantly younger than him, which lasted until his death. While he never publicly spoke much about his personal relationships, those close to him described Susan as a source of calm and companionship in his later life. His children followed varied paths. Some entered the arts, while others lived private lives away from the industry. Though he was not always emotionally expressive, Lancaster left behind a family that respected his legacy and guarded his privacy, much like he did throughout his life. Behind the charismatic screen presence was a man who battled with the demands of fame and the longing for connection. Burt Lancaster's family life was not without its challenges, but it added yet another layer of complexity to a man who was, in every way, larger than life. Burt Lancaster's Hollywood secrets. Though Burt Lancaster was famously private in life, rumors that surfaced after his death suggest he may have harbored far more secrets than the public ever knew. Following a celebrated career and complex family life, whispers began to circulate in Hollywood about a private, unpublished memoir, allegedly written in his final years and kept hidden from public release. In it, Lancaster was said to have detailed his deep mistrust and criticism of some of Hollywood's most iconic names, painting a picture of an industry he loved, but no longer recognized. According to former assistants and a confidant close to the family, Lancaster had compiled what he referred to as a ledger of darkness, a personal account of those he believed represented the most morally corrupt forces in Hollywood. Among those named were Kirk Douglas, Marilyn Monroe, James Stewart, Elizabeth Taylor, Spencer Tracy, Natalie Wood, Mickey Rooney, Errol Flynn, Bing Crosby, and Joan Crawford. Lancaster's writings accused stars of manipulation, abuse, hypocrisy, and hidden cruelty. What shocked those who allegedly saw the document was not just the list, but Lancaster's cold, precise tone, as though he had held in these truths for decades, quietly watching the system protect its own. He did not appear to write with vengeance, but with a sense of historical duty, as if setting the record straight before it was too late. While no publisher has ever confirmed the existence of the manuscript, several biographers have referenced its rumored presence. Some believe his family blocked its publication to preserve his dignified public image, while others say the manuscript was destroyed at his request, forever lost. If true, this secret memoir would cast an entirely new light on the man once hailed as Hollywood's moral compass. Far from the polished star, it suggests Lancaster was a deeply disillusioned observer, one who had loved the art, but not always the artists. Burt Lancaster's quiet final exit. If the rumors of Burt Lancaster's secret memoir revealed a man disillusioned with Hollywood, then his final years reflected the same quiet withdrawal from the spotlight. After decades of shaping cinema and confronting the darker truths of the industry, Lancaster spent his later life in relative seclusion, far from the glamour and chaos he once dominated. In the early 1990s, Lancaster suffered a serious stroke, which left him partially paralyzed and largely confined to his home in Los Angeles. Once known for his athletic grace and commanding presence, he now lived a much quieter existence, surrounded by a small circle of family, close friends, and longtime companion, Susan Martin. Despite his health challenges, Lancaster remained mentally sharp, spending his days reading, reflecting, and revisiting old films, not for vanity, but as a personal archive of a life fully lived. On October 20th, 1994, Burt Lancaster passed away at the age of 80 from a heart attack. His death marked the end of an era, not only of classic Hollywood, but of a breed of actor who brought depth, dignity, and danger to the screen in equal measure. In accordance with his wishes, there was no public funeral, no Hollywood spectacle, no grand farewell. He was cremated, and his ashes scattered in the Pacific Ocean, fitting for a man who had always rejected excess and chased meaning. His passing was met with a wave of tributes from peers and critics alike. Director Sidney Pollack called him a towering figure who never played it safe, while film critic Roger Ebert praised him as the soul of American film, acting in the mid-20th century. And yet, true to Lancaster's nature, the headlines were respectful but not sensational. He had orchestrated his exit just as he had lived much of his life, on his own terms, in the days following his death. Retrospectives aired across networks, reminding the world of the many faces of Burt Lancaster, the hardened convict, the romantic sergeant, the fallen preacher, the weary gangster. But perhaps the most enduring image was that of a man who remained unshaken by fame, who sought truth behind the illusion, and who dared to walk away from it all when the lights faded. Burt Lancaster didn't just leave behind a body of work. He left behind a standard, a set of values rarely seen in an industry that often forgets its soul. His death was not just the end of a life. It was the close of a chapter in Hollywood's conscience. Burt Lancaster's enduring cinema legacy, even in death. Burt Lancaster's presence continues to echo through generations of filmmakers and actors. As noted in the quiet reverence surrounding his passing, Lancaster didn't just leave behind memorable roles, he left behind a blueprint for what it means to be both a star and an artist of integrity. His body of work, ranging from Elmer Gantry to Birdman of Alcatraz and Atlantic City, is studied in film schools as examples of emotional depth, physical commitment, and bold role selection. He paved the way for actors who refuse to be typecast, who take risks, and who believe film can be both entertainment and social commentary. As a producer, he challenged the studio system and helped bring independent cinema to the forefront, forever shifting the power dynamic in Hollywood more than anything. Burt Lancaster proved that greatness isn't about spotlight or scandal, but about substance. His legacy is not written in tabloids, but in the enduring respect of the industry he helped shape. Legacy of integrity over image. Following the enduring legacy he left behind. Burt Lancaster's life reminds us that true greatness lies not in fame, but in purpose, risk, and authenticity. He never settled for easy roles, never chased tabloid attention, and never let Hollywood define him. His journey teaches us that a meaningful career and life is built through fearless choices, deep values, and the courage to walk away when the spotlight no longer aligns with your truth. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more untold Hollywood legends.